everyone, it's me again, Giselle from Andalasia. I have a very special bedtime story I'm going to read you tonight. It's a wonderful fairy tale about a beautiful young girl who becomes a princess. It's not me. Her name is Cinderella. Have you heard this story before? I'm sure you have. So not all stepmothers are wicked, but dear oh dear, Cinderella's was very, very bad. From morning till night she made Cinderella cook and carry, clean and scrub, and she had to look after her horrible stepsisters. Every day her stepmother would screech, "Hurry up, you wretched girl, I want my lunch and I want it now." That's not a very nice way to act, is it? And at night Cinderella had to sleep on the floor by the fire among the cinders and ashes. And then one morning an invitation arrived. His Royal Highness Prince Charming invites all the ladies of the house to the royal ball. And of course Cinderella can't go, sneered her stepmother. She's just a servant. On the night of the ball, Cinderella stood alone in the kitchen, tears sliding down her cheeks. "I really want to go to the ball." "And so you shall," said a musical voice. "Don't be afraid, I'm your fairy godmother." "Really, truly," gasped Cinderella. "You have my fairy promise," said her godmother. "But first, I need a pumpkin." Now, what was she going to do with that pumpkin? I bet we'll find out soon. Cinderella ran to the garden and picked the biggest, plumpest pumpkin she could find. And the fairy tapped it with her wand, and the pumpkin rose and grew into a wonderful carriage. "A golden coach to whisk you to the ball," said the godmother. And spell followed magical spell. 6 white mice became 6 proud horses, tossing their silky manes. And a fat rat turned into a coachman, and 6 lizards were transformed into footmen dressed in glittering green. Last of all came a ball gown, golden yellow and laced with flowers. "Thank you," said Cinderella. On her feet were a pair of glass slippers, the prettiest she'd ever seen. "Just remember," said her godmother, "you must leave before the clock strikes midnight, for then my magic will start to fade." And at the royal palace, Cinderella was swept into a splendid ballroom. "Will you dance with me?" asked the prince. And as they twirled and spun, whisper followed them around the room. "Who is that beautiful girl?" "She must be a princess," moaned Cinderella's stepsisters, "but I'm sure the prince would much rather dance with me." Cinderella wished the dance could last forever, but all too soon the clock struck midnight. "I must go," she cried, and she dashed down the palace steps. Her dress turned back into rags, and her carriage was a pumpkin. Her coachman was a rat again. And the prince ran after her, and all that was left was the glass slipper. Cinderella ran home and looked at the starry sky, and her adventures became a secret. And at that night she slept with a smile on her lips. The prince longed to find the mystery girl who had danced herself into his dreams. He searched the land with a glass slipper, declaring, "I'll marry the girl who fits this shoe." And at last he came to Cinderella's house. "It will fit me," screeched her stepsisters, snatching the shoe, and they squeezed and squashed, and no matter how hard they tried, they could not get it on their feet. And then Cinderella came. "May I try it on?" asked Cinderella, coming quietly from the room. "No," snapped her stepmother, but it was too late. She had already put the shoe on, and it was a perfect fit. The room sparkled with stars, and Cinderella's rags turned into gold, and she was dressed in her ball gown once more. Her stepmother looked aghast. "At last," cried the prince, "I found you." They were married the very next day, and everyone was invited to the wedding, the stepmother and her horrible daughters too. Cinderella had such a kind heart and forgave her family. She and her prince lived happily ever after. The end. What did you like about that story? liked the part when she tried on the shoe and it fit just perfectly, just the way it should have been. And they lived happily ever after. Well, I hope you have a wonderful night and sweet dreams. Goodbye.